lot of wild cities in America, the streets are like war zones.
Dang, them
there's
folks
only
shooting
one
close
place
range.
that earned the name Murder Town. Jackson, Mississippi is one of the deadliest places in the world. From shootouts at schools to decapitated heads being left on front porches, today we're breaking down why everyone is terrified of Murder Town, Mississippi.
Shit,
Jackson
I ain't
isn't
scared.
just the capital of Mississippi, it's also the murder capital of America. There are about 5 murders for every 100K people in America, but Jackson is over 20 times more violent. Just stepping outside of your crib in Jackson is a gamble with your life. People are getting robbed and shot almost every day, and nobody knows what to do about it. If you're not from Jackson, it's better to stay far away. And even reporters need to stay strapped up in there in Murder Town.
You good though, man. You good.
They even got the old heads out there gang banging. That nigga like 70 years old still trying to gang bang.
You good though, man. You good.
OGs in the
No.
But before we get into all the wild violence, you gotta understand where it started. Jackson has always been a rough place, and it's been going downhill fast since the 80s.
Yeah.
Back then, there were over 200,000 people in the city, and there were a lot of businesses and opportunities. Then white people started leaving the city, and Jackson didn't do anything to help the black people who were stuck there.
Hey, look, that's always the case too. Whenever you got like a city of black and white people and all the white people move, yeah, it's over with. Whenever you run into a community full of black people, especially like people that come from the hood, you know, they ain't never really had nothing and stuff like that, bruh. Let me tell y'all one thing about black people. We always feel like I ain't gonna say we, I ain't gonna include myself in this, but black people always feel like, you know, they gotta hate on each other, or they always worried about who got what, or who better than who. But bruh, yeah, whenever you like in a community full of like just all black people, 9 times out of 10, they
actually started in 1970. When the schools in Jackson were forced to let black kids into the same schools where the white kids went. Racist white people didn't want their kids in the same schools, so they started leaving Jackson.
Yep.
Now, Jackson is over 80% black, and racism is still a huge issue. The city doesn't get enough money from the state because the people who live there are black, and they haven't even had safe drinking water for years. In Jackson, you gotta boil your water before you drink it, and when you take a shower, the water that comes out of the pipes is brown.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
Bruh.
You telling me you trying to go wash your ass and the whole time you gotta use doo-doo brown water? Hell no, I'm straight on it. Why would anybody want to live there?
And in 2011, Murder Town made headlines everywhere when a bunch of white teenagers murdered an innocent black dude for no reason. James Craig Anderson was a 47-year-old black man who was born in Holmes County, Mississippi. He moved to Jackson and got involved with the community, but going to Jackson turned out to be a horrible mistake. In 2011, a white teenager named Daryl Deadman got a bunch of friends together and made a plan to go into Jackson to attack black people. The crew had been drinking and keeping the bottles to throw at people, and Daryl told his homies, let's go fuck with some niggas. Daryl and his friends spotted.
But all three of y'all, the 3 students, y'all would've got fucked up. Come down here playing, hell nah.
Anderson in the parking lot of a motel while they were driving down the road. James had lost his car keys and was trying to get into his whip, and that's when the white teenagers pulled up and started attacking him. One of the teenagers threw up a fist and yelled white power, and then they all got back in their whips to leave. They had a Jeep and a truck, and the Jeep left first. Daryl Deadman was driving the truck, and instead of pulling out of the parking lot, he drove over James Craig Anderson on purpose and killed him. Daryl Deadman started bragging about killing James Craig Anderson, and 2 weeks later, he was booked on a murder charge. Daryl Deadman and his friends all went down, but then the FBI got involved, and the situation got even crazier. The FBI started investigating hate crimes against black people in Jackson, and they found out how bad it really was. In just a few months between 2011 and 2012, a black dude was attacked for walking by a golf course and was beaten so badly that he started begging for his life. Another black dude almost got run over by a bunch of white people, but he was able to jump out of the way. And there were a bunch of white people who had been driving around trying to hit black people with glass bottles. But that's not even the most brutal part of the story. And what happened next?
I ain't gonna lie, you do that in 2025, you run around all that trying to run people over and hitting people in the head with glass bottles, man, you gonna get your ass off. No cap. Ain't nobody finna play with y'all there.
Out of a horror movie. Daryl Deadman got hit with 2 life sentences for killing James Craig Anderson.
2 life sentences, not one,
his
but
cousin
2.
Christian Deadman was working as a narcotics investigator just south of Jackson in Rankin County. Christian Deadman and 5 other cops were part of a crew that called themselves the Goon Squad, and they were involved with one of the craziest cases in Mississippi. Deadman had already killed an allegedly innocent dude in 2019, and in 2021, 2 other members of the Goon Squad killed another guy and got away with it. Then in 2023, Christian Deadman and the rest of the Goon Squad broke into a house and kidnapped 2 dudes named Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker. The Goon Squad beat the dudes and tased them. Then one of the cops found a dildo and shoved it into Eddie Parker's mouth. Christian Dedman told the dudes that he was gonna rape him, and the only reason he stopped is because Michael Jenkins shit himself. Then the goon squad started hitting Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker with a piece of wood and a sword. Christian Dedman started shooting into the backyard, and one of the other cops stuck a gun in Michael Jenkins' mouth and let off a shot. Before the goon squad left the crib, they planted a gun and meth inside. They tried to say that Michael Jenkins was shooting at them, but eventually the truth came out, and all 6 cops were booked for torture and hate crimes.
Stupid.
The goon squad was making headlines, but that same year, something even crazier went down in Jackson.
What happened?
A woman named Betterson Wade called the Jackson police and reported her son missing in March 2023. Betterson Wade didn't even want to call the cops at first because they had already killed her brother a few years earlier. But she freaked out when her 37-year-old son went missing and didn't know what to do. The cops told Betterson that they didn't know anything, and she spent the next 7 months looking for her son.
7
months?
What
she didn't know is that her son...
If it takes 7 months to find somebody that went missing, in most cases, 9 times out of 10, I'm sorry to say it, but their ass gonna end up, they gone, bro. Ain't nothing you can do. 7 months, that's a long time. Being missing.
Had already been killed by the police and was buried behind a jail. Betterson's son had been run over by a police car and killed. Then they buried him behind the jail without telling her. The cops had buried over 200 people behind the jail, and nobody knows how many of them have been killed by the police.
They buried over 200 people behind the jail? So this what y'all down here doing in Jackson, Mississippi. Bro, that's crazy. Like, how do you even do that? Like, you just killing people in jail, and you take them behind the jail, digging holes and putting their bodies in there, and just burying them. Like, you motherfuckers.
According to the Jackson government, the bodies were all from people who didn't have families, but that was cap. Betterson Wade's son had identification on him when he died, but the cops never tried to get in touch with Betterson Wade because she was already suing him for killing her brother. Murder Town probably has the worst cops in Mississippi, but the whole state is known for having dirty police. And all the way back in 1965, a dude named Phil Ox wrote the track "Here's to the State of Mississippi" and said, "And here's to the cops of Mississippi. They're chewing their tobacco as they lock the prison door, and their bellies bounce inside them when they knock you to the floor. No, they don't like taking prisoners in their private little wars. And behind their broken badges, there are murderers and more." And in 2023, the police murdered another dude named Keith Muriel. Keith Muriel was hanging out in the parking lot.
So what's up with this? Like in Mississippi, I guess what's this? The police versus the black people? Like that seems like the police doing more killing than the citizens of that city.
When a security guard called the cops on him, a cop showed up and told him to leave. But then a little while later, Keith Muriel went back to the parking lot and 3 cops attacked him for no reason. The cops threw Keith Muriel on the ground and tased him over 20 times while he was screaming and begging for him to stop.
Tase him 20 times.
A lot of people don't know how deadly tasers can be, especially when you're over 40 years old like Keith Muriel was. After they finished torturing Keith Muriel with tasers, the cops threw him in the back of a police car.
And then that's a black dude.
To make sure he was still breathing. And by the time paramedics finally showed up to check on him, Keith Muriel was already dead. The cops aren't the only ones killing people though.
Damn.
The streets of Murder Town are deadly, and the goons there will take their own gun and shoot.
Oh, he took his gun.
Gangs are all over the city too. Jackson has Gangster Disciples,
That's
Black
crazy.
Kings, Black P-Stones, and one of the biggest sets of fight stores in America. There's another crew in Jackson called the Simon City Royals, and they were causing so much violence in the city that the cops had hit them with a RICO case. The Simon City Royals were kidnapping people and torturing them, shooting their ops, and moving weight all over Mississippi.
So they out here moving like the cartel. They out here kidnapping people, shooting people, torturing people, moving drugs. Man, Jackson, Mississippi is going down out there. Y'all crazy.
Simon City Royals got locked up, but they've been killing people in prison too. Back in 2018, one of the top dudes in the Simon City Royals told Dylan Hefker and Robert Williams to kill a dude they were locked up with. Dylan Hefker and Robert Williams made a couple of knives, and when they spotted the dude, they stabbed him to death, and the only thing they got back was a couple $100 in their commissary account. The Simon City Royals are the most brutal gang in Jackson, and they've even tortured their own people. In 2015, a Simon City Royal affiliate did something to piss off an OG, so other members of the crew kidnapped him and took him to a hotel room. That's when they tied the dude up, tortured him for hours, and then burned off his tattoo. The gangs in Jackson are sliding on each other, but innocent people are always caught up in the beef too. Back in January 2024, 2 shooters were chasing each other down the street and letting off shots. The shooters didn't hit each other, but an innocent dude was tragically caught in the middle and killed. The violence in Jackson is crazy, and there's a lot of dudes in the streets who are trying to make it out of the trenches by rapping. Jackson has strong ties to the rap game because of dudes from the city like David Banner. David Banner started out rapping in the 90s, but he really blew up from producing.
I can tell all that.
He made beats with T.I. and worked with other big artists like Lil Boosie, Lil Wayne, and Snoop Dogg. Afro Man also came up in Jackson. and he proved out wild dudes from Murder Town Nard when he punched a fan on stage back in 2015.
He slept
Rappers
his
from
ass.
Murder Town have love for the city, but they know how dangerous it can get. Mississippi Rel is a rapper from Jackson, and he said you can't be scared if you pull up to Jackson, because the dudes there will smell the fear on you.
Yeah, you can't be scared when you come down here too, because the niggas don't smell that fear.
There are a lot of underground rappers in the city, but the dude who was putting on for Jackson the most was a rapper named Lil Lonnie. Lil Lonnie was putting Jackson on the map in the mainstream and was about to really pop off. But then, he became another victim in Murder Town. Lil Lonnie was from the north side of Jackson, and he said that when you're born there, it's pretty much guaranteed that you're gonna be a hustler or a robber.
In my hood, I'ma say it like this, it ain't nothing to do but shit. You either gonna be a hustler, you either gonna be a robber.
Nah, that's dumb. See, this people mindset be so fucked up, bro. Y'all heard what he just said. In my hood, it ain't nothing to do. You either gonna be a hustler or a robber. Nah, man. 'Cause I feel like you can always, get out of it. Or you can always find something positive or productive to do. I don't know, bro. It's like niggas' mindset just be fucked up for real. I guess you can't blame them though. It's their environment. It's what they was brought up around. So that's basically all they
of
know.
Lil Lonnie's homies were hopping off the porch when they were around 12 years old. But Lil Lonnie stayed out of the street drama and was focused on rapping and finishing school. Lil Lonnie finished high school and went to college. And that's when he started popping off in the rap game. Back in 2015, his track Colors went viral and ran up crazy numbers. But Lil Lonnie decided to stay in college instead of dropping out and going full-time with rap. Even though Lil Lonnie was still in school, he was working with huge artists like Bryson Tiller and Moneybagg Yo. Lil Boosie linked up with Lil Lonnie for the track Walking on Blood.
Lil Lonnie
wanted to sign Lonnie to his label. But Lil Lonnie turned him down and kept making his own lane. Lil Lonnie wanted everyone around him to make it out. And in the video for his track Make a Way, Lonnie talks about how hard it is to get out of Murder Town. Lil Lonnie was on his way up, but then in 2018, he was brutally killed while driving around Jackson.
Crazy.
Lil Lonnie was driving around with a woman named Ashanti Jones, and they were headed to a friend's crib to kick it. According to people close to Lonnie, he didn't have any enemies in the city, but a whip pulled up behind him and started shooting. Lil Lonnie pushed Ashanti down.
I think what people fail to realize is it don't matter if he had any ops or nothing, or even if he was out here in the streets bullshitting, it don't even matter for real, because y'all heard what he said, his hood, it ain't nothing to do but rob or, be a hustler. I feel like when you come from an environment around people like this with that type of mindset, you know what I'm saying, everybody's so involved in the streets, that's all they know. But when they see somebody like him right here doing good in life, he elevating, he trying to make it out the hood, he making some good money, you know what I'm saying, he trying to rap, he taking off his rap career. A lot of niggas, they don't want to see that happen. I'm guessing that somebody was probably hating on him, you know what I'm saying, they probably end up killing him or something. Or maybe he was out here caught up in the streets doing some bullshit, but who knows, we finna see.
It saved her life. But one of the bullets hit Lil Lonnie in the head and tragically left him dead at the scene.
In the head.
The whole city was shocked when Lonnie died because he had a lot of love in Jackson.
Yeah.
And what happened next was even worse. A couple days after Lil Lonnie was killed, his friends and family had a candlelight vigil for him in his neighborhood.
Right.
People from all over Jackson showed up to pay respects. But then a shooter rolled through and started busting into the crowd. Luckily, nobody got hit.
Oh yeah, somebody was definitely
situation made
hating.
it clear that nobody was safe in Jackson. Some people thought Lil Lonnie had a target on his back just because he was popular and assumed somebody killed him out of jealousy.
Yeah,
What
that's
makes
what
the
I'm
case
thinking.
even worse is that the shooters didn't even know him, and Lil Lonnie was brutally killed because of the headlights on his whip. Monia Davis, Marshawn Carr, and Antoine Carr
Look
all
at this
ended because of
damn
the headlights
fool.
on his whip.
Yeah, this nigga right here, he literally is fucked up in the head. Look at his damn head. Watch that nigga head sideways. It ain't even his head, I don't think. It's like he built funny. Like somebody just whacked his head with a baseball bat or
Carr
some shit.
and Antoine Carr all ended up
looked
getting booked
retarded.
for the murder. The three of them were driving down Montebello Street in Jackson with Monia Davis's girlfriend, Sonata Lewis. According to Sonata Lewis, Monia Davis was mad because the headlights of the whip behind them were too bright, so he pulled over and hopped out with a gun. Antoine and Marshawn got out with guns too, and all
So
three of
y'all
them
gonna
started
kill, bro. So y'all killed him just because his headlights was too bright. Imagine that. Imagine you driving at nighttime. Boom, you behind somebody and you accidentally, you know what I'm saying, you got your bright lights on. And niggas just pull over and start shooting at you because your lights too bright. Man, what's wrong with these niggas? It's
They
crazy.
had no idea who was in the whip they were shooting at, and they murdered Lil Lonnie just because his headlights were too bright. Lil Lonnie's death was shocking, but this next murder was so brutal, it doesn't even sound real. June 10th, 2017 seemed like a normal summer day in Jackson. The weather was bright and sunny, and kids were running around on summer break. But at 9 a.m., the cops got a crazy call
9 in the
going up
morning.
to a house on the 1500 block of Deer Park Street. The first cop who pulled up to the scene had no idea what he was about to find. On the front porch of the house was a human head, and it belonged to the cop's cousin, Jeremy Jackson. The news about
a human head? He pulled up at 9 a.m. in the morning, and when he get there, he walk up to the house, and on the front porch, the first thing he see is a human head. And then on top of that, that's his cousin? Bro, that's crazy. That's wild,
decapitated
bro.
head spread like crazy all over the city, and somebody started sending photos of it around.
It's like the cartel.
Jeremy Jackson's brother, Corey Jackson, was at work, and he got a call from their other brother. The other brother sent Corey the photo of Jeremy's head, and that's how Corey found out about the murder. Then a few hours after Jeremy's head was found on the porch, some kids were playing in the woods around a mile from the scene, and that's where they found Jeremy's body. The cops rushed over and discovered that Jeremy had been shot in the leg and his body had been set on fire. The gunshot and fire isn't what killed him though, and according to the coroner, Jeremy was still alive when his head was cut off. Nobody has any idea what happened to Jeremy Jackson or why somebody would want him dead. He had 3 kids and was studying business management at Jackson State University, and there's no clues about why he was killed like that. Rumors started flying that there was a serial killer in Murder Town, and that's who killed Jeremy Jackson, but there's no evidence to back the story up. Getting your head cut off probably won't happen if you pass through Jackson, but you definitely gotta be careful if you stop for gas. Gas stations are some of the deadliest places to be in murder.
Who gonna stop for gas? Crazy as hell, boy. Now that I'm watching this video, I wouldn't even drive through Jackson, Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even want to go through Mississippi, period. I'd rather, if I'm on vacation, I'm driving somewhere, I'd rather just reroute and be 3 more hours behind than go through this motherfucking place. Cause hell nah, bro. All this crazy stuff I'm seeing.
And there are so many murders at gas stations that the cops started an operation called Gas Up and Guns Down to stop the violence. People are still dying like crazy in Jackson gas stations though. Back in April 2024, a dude walked into a gas station and started hitting a woman in the head. Then he walked outside and started putting hands on a dude who was sitting in his whip. The other guy was strapped up though, and the situation turned into a shootout. Bullets were flying all over the place. And the dude who was putting hands on everyone ended up getting killed. Then later that same day, 3 other people in Jackson all got shot and killed in separate shootings. In that same week, an 80-year-old woman was shot and killed while she was sleeping on her couch.
An 80-year-old
Hotels
woman.
are also dangerous spots to be. In February 2025, Precious Wilson was shot and killed at the Studio 6 Hotel. And a few weeks before that, Yesenia Cruz was beaten to death at the OYO townhouse in Jackson. And a few months before Yesenia Cruz was beaten to death, a woman named Susanna Resendiz was shot and killed at the same hotel. There are so many murders going down in Jackson that it's hard to keep track though, and nowhere is safe. In February 2025, a 68-year-old woman named Thelma Wright was shot and killed inside her own home by a 15-year-old. Teenagers are doing a lot of the shooting in Murder Town.
That's crazy.
In the same week that Thelma Wright was killed, a different 15-year-old was shot in the head in South Jackson. A lot of kids in Jackson end up in the streets when they're 11 or 12 years old. And by the time they're teenagers...
11 to 12 is crazy. I ain't like, when I was in 11 to 12, nigga, I was out here, you know, I'm hooping, nigga. I'm getting bugs, I'm doing niggas. I'm playing football, bro. I wasn't thinking nothing about no getting in the streets, smoking no weed, you know, slanging dope, shooting people, bro, I wasn't doing none of that, bro. I was locked in on sports.
They're already pulling triggers and killing people. The teenagers in Jackson are also known for jacking people's whips, and they're always ready to shoot to get what they want. Cities like Chicago have a lot of gang violence, but what makes Jackson so deadly is that you never know who's gonna try and take you out. Back in 2021, the mayor of Jackson talked to CNN and said, "We see lifelong friends kill each other."
And you know it's fucked up. Look, so they got a black mayor, which ain't nothing wrong with that, but they got a black mayor and a majority of a you know, town that's all black people. Y'all wanna know what that tells you? The white man don't even want nothing to do with this city. You know what I'm saying? They got a black mayor running it.
In March 2025, a woman shot her own husband over a friend request on social media. Rashawn Wallace got into a fight with her husband, Damian Reed, because Damian was mad about a friend request that Rashawn had made. It's not clear exactly how it went down, but Rashawn let off a warning shot to make Damian get away from her. And when that didn't work, Rashawn shot Damian and killed him. Rashawn actually performed CPR on Damian after she shot him and tried to keep him alive. But Damian died, and now Rashawn is facing a murder charge.
That's dumb, so why would you even shoot him? You gonna shoot him and then try to save him? All because of a damn friend request. All because of jealousy. Now your stupid ass finna spend the rest of your life for probably 1st-degree murder in prison. All over a damn friend request. Like, imagine that, bro.
There's so much violence in Murder Town because there's nothing to do in the city. Some people have tried to open up clubs, but then in 2021, there was a brutal triple murder at Club Rain on the west side of the city.
Open no club.
A dude named Jeremy Johnson was booked after he allegedly killed 3 people at the club, but then the cops let him go without charging him. People in Jackson were protesting the case for years, and in 2025, the cops finally decided that they wanted to officially charge Jeremy Johnson, but they couldn't find him anymore. You're always taking a risk if you go outside in Murder Town. And in August 2024, 6 people all got shot outside of a bar in downtown Jackson. One of the people who got hit up tragically didn't make it out alive, and the cops still have no idea what really went down. Being a cop in Murder Town is dangerous too, though. And in 2013, a detective got killed inside the police station. The cops had booked a dude named Jeremy Powell for allegedly stabbing a guy named Christopher Alexander in the neck and killing him. Detective Eric Smith and another cop were interviewing Jeremy Powell inside the police station, but Jeremy Powell wasn't ready for jail. When the cops were wrapping up the interview, Jeremy Powell attacked Detective Eric Smith and grabbed his gun. The other cop shot at Jeremy Powell and missed. Then her gun jammed and she ran outside to call for backup. But before anyone else could make it to the room,
I know she got fired. How the hell you close range? You in the interview room, y'all know it's small as hell in there. And this dude, he reaches for, the other police gun. And then you pull out your gun, you try to shoot and miss, and then your gun jam. Oh yeah, I blame this situation on you because you could have ended it all. I know she got
Eric
fired.
Smith 4 times and killed him. At that point, Jeremy Powell knew he was gonna end up in prison. So instead, he pointed the gun at his own head and let off a shot. The first shot went into the side of his head, but Jeremy was still alive. So he put the gun under his chin and let off another shot that killed him. Some people in Murder Town go to college to make it out of the streets. Jackson has a college in the city called Jackson State University, but people are getting shot at college parties too. A fraternity at Jackson State University.
Look at that, bro. This is what I'm saying, bro. A group of black people, bro. This is why I don't even go to clubs and parties, especially if it's gonna be like a whole bunch of black people around. I'm not going. Y'all invite me, bro. I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm straight. Hell nah, because I'm already knowing when black people get together, they can't act right. They don't know how to act.
But then a fight broke out and somebody started shooting.
You know what I'm saying, bro?
Everyone knows that the violence in Murder Town is crazy. It's been the murder capital of America for 4 years straight, but nobody knows how to fix the problem. The city brought in the Mississippi Capitol Police to help out, but then those cops just started shooting people. People in Jackson already had plenty of reasons to not trust the police, and the Capitol Police are even sketchier. The Capitol Police don't even wear body cameras, and in 2024, they shot a bunch of people who were allegedly all innocent. The Capitol Police killed a 25-year-old dude over a traffic stop, and in another situation, they started shooting at a suspect and hit a random woman who was just sitting inside her house. The government in Jackson wanted to bring in even more Capitol Police, but cops are causing all kinds of violence. Back in 2022, a woman named Sharita Harris was riding around with...
What y'all think they can do to solve this problem? I don't even see how they can fix this. They trying to bring in more police officers, Capitol police officers at that. And then the whole time, they not even wearing body cam footages, so they feel like they got the upper hand. They already polices. And y'all know how police is. They think they, just because they got a little gun and a badge or whatever, y'all already know the rundown. But, bro, them not having a body cam, bro, imagine that. They going crazy down there. They just doing whatever the hell they want to do and treat people how they want to treat them. Yeah, they talking about bringing in more police. Y'all gonna have to call the damn
Capitol
army
Police cruiser pulled up behind them, and that's when bullets started flying. The cops shot Sharita Harris in the head, then they beat up her friend who was driving and booked him. Sharita Harris woke up 3 days later in the hospital, and now she has permanent issues with seeing, hearing, and eating. And around the same time the Capitol Police shot Sharita Harris in the head, another Capitol Police officer slammed the dude's head onto a car and then stomped him out. That cop is actually facing charges for what went down, but most of the time, nothing happens to the dirty cops in Murder Town. The Jackson Police Department and the Capitol Police aren't the only cops active in the city though, and sometimes the feds roll into town and start kicking in doors just to find a little bit of weed. And no matter how many people the cops arrest, Murder Town keeps on being the most dangerous place in America. The murder rate has gone down a little bit, but Jackson is still #1, and it doesn't look like it's gonna change anytime soon.
Hell no, it ain't gonna change, bro. I don't see how they gonna be able to solve that.